lower down the opacity to even lower, just so I can see above it better. And right now I have it so that it's bleeding over the edge, so if I want to, I can go to View and hit Trim View, and it just kind of makes it square so I don't have to see all those extra lines, but that's up to you. So just go to View, the rulers, and Show the rulers, and I can just put a circle first. So I'm going to take the ellipse tool and create a circle, Shift key held down, and try to line it up to where the baseline of the top section of type is, and maybe the height line of the other, and just set it in there so it has a circle. That'll help me go ahead and place two ruler guides right on that center piece right there. And the reason is, if you go to View and Show the guides, if they're not sectioned in there, Smart Guides is highlighted there, okay? And that'll give you that section onto this piece. So let's see, View, Show Rulers first. So you've got that in there, and then viewing the guides. So it'll give you kind of a centerpiece to work from onto that section. Let's see, View Hide Threads. So see if you can go ahead and put that first part in there. And put that circle in there first. It'll have all these options. If I window shade it over, it'll show me the icons, but it won't tell me what it is. So just for your viewing pleasure, it's trying to show you Type tool and type on a path. And we've maybe done a little bit of this so far, but I highlight this part here. And as soon as I click on it, everything changes. It fills up with some filling text. It's already highlighted, so I'm just going to go ahead and type the family owned and give it a space and just type in the number 440739-000. Now you'll see there's a little section on the other side. We'll get to that. But right now the paragraph up here at the top, I can center this and the type may jump down. I'm going to click inside the font size and just increase it a little bit. Let's see if this is going to, let's see, I think I have where you can hit character right here, and this will also give you the section. So the only trouble, just triple click on this, or click and drag to give you, click on the character panel, same panel that's on your right hand side if you have it open is going to open up, and increase the point size. The font is a serif font. It has that little extension to it. So when you take a look at all the different fonts that you have, you can see what's coming through here. And if you just click on Times or type in TIM, it'll bring you up to Times and gives you all these presets that are there. So I'm just going to go to Time Bold to keep it up there. And the Direct Selection tool is the hollow arrow next to it. And what's going to happen is when you click on it, it'll give you a red center point down at the bottom, and if I just drag that around, keep it on the outside and set it up on top, and that gives me the family owned. And I can see that I have some spacing things that I have to work out and some point sizes. So inside the point size I can increase this, and I'm just using the roller mouse to scroll it over, and gives me that center line again. So that's what the font looks like centered. It has a couple pieces in there. I may make it just slightly smaller. And you'll notice that the little floral piece there is still active. So if I click in the text at the end of it, it'll give me the space indicating that it's blinking. And what that is what they call a glyph. So it's a little character inside of there. So when you take a look at it, this is going to give you the option to click inside here and add a glyph. Well, where are those glyphs? It's under Window, under Type, and there's a glyphs palette. So when you click on it, that's just the name of these little extra pieces that are here. And within that font, it gives you all the different possibilities. And I'm going to look at this thing right up at the top here. If I double click on it, it'll put it right in there. And if I click anywhere else where it has to belong, I can double click on it and click inside of it. You can always, also you can copy it. So there you have that first part of it. And that's with the glyphs. Okay? And the glyphs are listed right under type and character. That's where it's at right there. Okay? So see if you can just do the temporarily set that off to the side right now. So family owned has a couple glyphs in there. Bottom part doesn't have any. But you can see that this section here, when I click on the text, I can put a space into that. I can click up here, put a space up here, just to give it a little room around it. And that way it kind of fits. It's not perfectly there unless I actually minimize the point size. So when I do this, I can triple click it, lets me select everything, and just rotate it down a little bit to make it a little bit smaller, or keep it where it was. And all you're going to do, so watch this, it gets a little tricky, is you select this text. And if I select and move it, I just sometimes do that just to make sure I have it. Instead of putting it back with the mouse, always go back, edit, undo, and it puts it exactly where you took it from. It's highlighted, it's selected, so I'm just going to go to edit, copy, and the next one, edit, and you have all these options with paste. Paste in front, back, place, other artboards. I'm just going to have it paste in front. So there it is. You can't see it, but when I click and drag it to show you, there's two copies there. Just to show it to you, I move it off, and then obviously just go to undo, move, put it right back. So I'm going to take the direct selection tool and click on this part here. Down below is where the center line marker comes, so I'm going to click and drag that. See if this will rotate it around. There it is. I'm going to click, and this gets kind of tricky, so I grab that center line, and instead I drag it down to the bottom and then drag it over the top of this to get it right reading there, like so. This little plus box over here tells me there's more text, so I have to stretch that open and kind of play around with it till I get back in there. But before I start to do this, I can do the same thing. Triple click on it, and if you can read through everything, it's 540 Water Street, comma, and then the address. So it has a lot of text. The little plus box just means that the font is, or the type is going beyond the selection that's showing, and when you drag, make sure you drag the right one. Either one, if you drag that, it'll stretch it open so you can see it. Okay? There is a center line for this one. So if I try to drag it down here, and you can see that the font is the same size font, it's just on the baseline of the text. You just have to put it on the opposite side of the text. And to do so is if you go to the character palette, either up at the top, there's paragraph and character. If I click on it, all these options are there. It's the lower left one. Leave the mouse over the icon. It tells you it's called the baseline, and it's shifting it either up or down. And if you click down, you can see it creeping along down there until you get it just where the top lines meet that edge. You can see that it's interfering with the other text. That's only because you've made it wider. So the spacing in between all the text, if you remember, was called tracking or kerning. Tracking, if you set it up, is up here at the top. It shows you the definition for it. And tracking is on the other side. So here I can just lower this down and drop it down right there. And that sets it right to where it's supposed to be. And there you have it. The rest of it is pretty easy, but see if you can get that logo. If I go to the Layers panel, and I'll hide it real quick, there's the top piece. You can see that there's like a little vignette of light rectangle that's just a opacity about 50%. So all you need to do is make a rectangle and place it right on there. Well, the tricky part is, where do you put it? You're trying to put it in front of something. So whatever you select, this large WB, for example, I'll click it and move it just to show it to you. Once that's selected, the next thing I draw is going to go right above that, and since that's the piece that it's shading, I might as well just do that and make it easy. If you toggle through in the layers panel, you can see all the images that you have open, and if you click and drag the eyes, you can see everything, and just by clicking one eye at a time, you can bring everything back. I showed that to a couple of you. And while it's open, if I click on this WB, you see it's highlighted with this little red section. That lets me know that it's going to be the next item that I draw will be right above it. So I'm just going to take the rectangle tool. I'm going to reset the foreground. Whoop, make sure I don't have that selected. Click off of everything first so I can reset the foreground to white and background stroke. I'm actually going to give it a color so you can see it on the demonstration here a little bit easier. And now I click on the W. I lose the color because I select it, so I'll have to do it after I draw it. So I click the rectangle and just go ahead and draw a rectangular box that looks like it's going to fit that piece right there. And now I can give it the default of a white fill and give it a color so you can see it. Now the nice thing is that it has it's just the two strokes. So all I really want on this is that section, okay? But I'm gonna break it apart. You could draw it with two lines and just put a rectangle on top of it. That's just as easy. But if I want to keep something that's accurate all the way through, I can just select the rectangle and copy it, and it puts it on what they call the pasteboard. And then I'll make the, actually I'm going to make it thicker a little bit first. The lines, the stroke is a little thicker, and now I'm going to copy it, and that'll supersede or go in place of what's on the pasteboard right now. So then I take the direct selection tool, make sure I click off of everything or select deselect, and click on the end stroke of this and just hit delete, and it takes it off. If I do the same thing on the other side and select it and hit delete, it'll take the whole thing away because I have to deselect everything just to make this one function work. And now click on that edge and hit delete. It'll lose the fill because it's no longer 3 points, it's just two strokes. And you could draw these strokes, I'll show you the other way too, and that gives me the two lines. So now I go to edit, and if I just hit paste, I'll show it to you, it'll put the image right just about anywhere. That's the image that's on the pasteboard. If I go to edit, paste in front, or paste in back, it'll put it right behind there, and it'll bring that stroke back, but all I have to do is click on the stroke and get rid of it. And now I have this little image. The only trouble by pasting it in back is that, and I'll undo that, is that it puts it behind everything. So if I select these guys, you can see that they're two separate strokes. If I just click on one of them, go to edit, paste in front, and it's just a matter of organizing everything, clicking off that stroke, and you can see that it splits the difference here. And in the layers panel, you'll see where this piece is. Here's the rectangle, and here's these two lines. So a couple ways I can just drag this rectangle and put it behind the two paths. Okay, while it's highlighted, I can go to the opacity and just make it smaller, less of an opaque piece right there. And that lets it show through. It's supposed to be white, so I can just click on the white, and it gives me that selection. The only tricky part is that the white barn is behind everything, so I'm just going to select these and kind of get them organized and see what it is. So it's two strokes right here. And see if I can grab them here. Move it just to make sure I have it, and group that together. And then just, again, select both the logo and stuff. If I right-click, it'll do the same idea of giving me a range, send to back, and now it shows up a little bit better. Okay? And that's one way to do it. I can make this graphic a little bit more opaque just by double-clicking, and it puts me in the isolation mode. If I select it, it's at 36%. I'm going to increase a little bit and then get out of this isolation mode. So there you have it. And again, you can also hide that selection. Zoom out of this part. If I go to View and click on the Trim View just to clean everything up, hit the Tab key,